Thank you very much for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Wiley O'Rourke. I'm the president of Maymead Incorporated, who is the applicant for this permit. Air quality permits are not issued based on public opinion for or against the permit. They are based on compliance with regulation. Maymead Incorporated began the permit application process for an asphalt plant at this site in early 2015. The permit application was submitted to Diener on June 8, 2015. Diener staff reviewed this application very carefully. They asked us to combine the existing operating permit for the crushing and recycling activities and the asphalt plant into one permit. The permit application became a permit modification instead of a permit for just the asphalt plant. Staff also requested additional information such as stack heights and operating parameters and a combination of the two operations emissions in order to proceed with the permitting and modeling process. This is a routine part of the process and demonstrates that Diener was doing its job to make sure all rules were being followed and the facility would be operated, and to ensure that the facility would be operated according to federal and state laws and regulations. After Maymead revised the application, Diener asked for and received clarification and other details concerning airflow from AC tank heaters and stack heights. Diener, in the fall of 2015, performed the air modeling of the proposed facility. Maymead has met all requirements and cooperated with and provided to Diener all additional information requested and paperwork modification. Maymead has at this time a copy of the draft permit based on these submittals and subsequent discussions. Maymead has an outstanding track record. We have demonstrated that we can comply with all rules and regulations set by Diener. We currently operate 9 asphalt production facilities in North Carolina and Tennessee. Maymead follows the rules. Maymead requests that Diener acknowledges the rules have been followed and issue the final permit for this facility. Thank you for hearing me tonight.
Thank you. James.
My name is Mike Teague. I'm a local citizen, lives in the area. First off, I'd like to thank you for this public hearing because I know that you don't have to have one. But how appropriate is this public hearing? Because this particular site is very unique. I don't think that Mr. Hampton or Maymead could have picked a worse site to put an asphalt plant. There's several environmental concerns and several issues that impact this area. This is a very unique site because about a third of the year it's enveloped in a very dense fog. And I'm not talking about a fog that you can see several miles. I'm talking about the type you have to stop the car and look to find the white line type fog. This fog is extremely dense, does not move, and is just very stagnant type fog. We also, this particular site sits about a ½ mile from the edge of the Blue Ridge Mountains. So there's a constant upslope draft that comes from the lower elevations. That upslope draft causes a damming in there, which causes the air many times to get stagnant and hold. And you can see that during fall times when the smoke from chimneys and stuff like that get very stagnant and don't move. So you have those two things. The third one is you got thermal inversions. And because we have those here in the mountains, we're at a height right now where this particular site is that we invert quite often. And that inversion is where you get a warm layer of air trapped in between 2 layers of cold. And we see that a lot during the winter months because you'll see the smoke from chimneys and stuff like that. This particular site is right in the middle of that. So my question, based on the aspects that we observe and see, have there ever been any studies that check the effects of dense fog on the emissions? And that would be a question I would have and I would ask that you check into. Have there ever been any studies on the effects of upslope winds on these emissions? And have there ever been any studies on the effects of thermal inversions? Because I believe that if there are studies, we're going to find that they will affect those emissions and how those emissions will hold to the ground and maintain a higher concentration. So my plea to you is please don't issue any permits until these questions have been answered. Because it would be a really horrible tragedy that we go several years down the road and find out, you know what, because of the upslope winds, because of the dense fog, we've created an environmental emergency. We have harmed people when it could have been prevented. Again, I want to thank you for your holding this hearing, because I know that you did not have.
Good evening. My name is Cherie Hampton Smith, and I'm the majority owner of our family-owned business, J.W. Hampton Company, which we do grading, and we're previous owners of the crushing and recycling site there at the proposed asphalt plant site. Our company has been in business with this county since the 1950s, and during this time we have paid millions of dollars cumulatively in various taxes and fees and have employed hundreds of people. We've given back to our churches in the community for one simple reason. It's our community and we love and support it. My grandfather started building roads in this county in the 1940s. So for over 70 years, my family has helped to build this county in several ways so that many of the people here tonight had a place to move to and live. We as a company have always followed the rules and the laws and done what is right by others. I'm familiar with Maymead's draft permit and Division of Air Quality's review. It meets all regulations and requirements. Your staff has found that this draft permit complies with North Carolina's regulations, and we ask that you issue a final permit. Thank you.
I am a resident of Watauga County. I'm founder and president of RaisedWeather.com, and I've been a faculty member, a computer science faculty member at ASU for 25 years. We have 5 staff meteorologists with a combined 80 years of operational experience in meteorology, including 2 that are very experienced with air quality modeling. In fact, one worked as an air quality scientist in his previous job. They reviewed the study that was done. One of their comments was they did their homework. They were done according to national standards. They had no real question about methodology or the quality of the model. They understand that very well. However, we do question one aspect of the study, of the meteorological study and dispersion model study, and that is, to our understanding from what we could tell, there were only 11 to 12 months of weather data, surface weather data, involved in the actual study that was done. And so I went to my thought was, well, does that accurately represent both the average and the extremes for weather data in the region and for that particular site? So what I did was, since there is no other data for that specific site that goes long term, I went to the National Climatic Data Center Boone site, which has 87 years of archive data. And so what I did was I took the 11 months that was included in the sample study, and I took that data for Boone, North Carolina, and then I compared long-term 87-year averages for each month that was included in the study. And indeed, I found that the year was not really representative of the extremes of weather, nor even the average. The year in question was a La Nina year, which almost always implies drier and warmer conditions in Boone, North Carolina. And indeed, that's exactly what I found, that this particular year was unusually warm and significantly drier than average. And so that's one thing. And I also went back to the National Drought Monitor to confirm, and found that indeed much of the southeast, and including the Watauga County, was for a good part of that period either in weak or moderate drought conditions. And then I thought, well, that doesn't even capture the fullness of the possible problem, and that is, what about when we have weather like we've had over the past year that is radically different in the other direction? So I also calculated averages for this corresponding months for the last year, which we've been in La Nina and extremely wet conditions, and found that, indeed these months were not representative. So what I would ask is, how robust is the model for predicting output, given that this is not really a representative period for a long enough study? And secondly, if it's not, would it make sense for something this important to delay the permit so that a longer study for the site could be made, or at the very least require extensive air quality modeling around the site so as to verify that the model was indeed correct? Thank you very much.
Thank you. John Callahan, and then
Yes, glad y'all could be here tonight. Glad to be able to stand in front of you and make a comment or two. I'm John A. Hampton. I started working in construction work in 1960. I'm 75 years old. And if asphalt and rock crushing to kill you, I should be dead. I'll match my health with anybody in the room at the age of when I'm 76. And then I've changed what I wanted to tell you a little bit. They've been talking about the fog. We do have fog, and every one of them mentioned February, November, and it is bad from November through March. But the good thing about it, asphalt plant will be running then. All the work up here is done in the summer, so the asphalt will probably shut down. The majority of the time, it will probably shut down by or before Thanksgiving. Usually the DOT don't let us go back to work till April the 15th. So there's nothing there. It's sitting dormant. So the fog issue, yes, we do have fog, but I have never been nowhere in the United States that didn't have fog. That's one comment I want to make. And then not only, I've been in it all my life. My father started it, but not only with air quality, and I think y'all have probably seen my name around. I've always tried to do what they asked me to do. I tried to follow all the rules, not only with air quality, I've had water quality, I've got MSHA. You name the agency, and I've been in some way hitched with them. So we have tried. I started this process, and I even called, I don't remember which one I talked to. I was going to do it, but with my age catching up with me, I had the opportunity to sell it to Maymead, and I thought maybe that might be the best thing for me to do. But I plan on working as long as my health stays good. But like I say, if it's as bad as some of these people say, I don't have any degrees, I just got out of high school. But I think I'm a prime example, and I've been in it all my life. That's all I've ever done. And so, you know, there's a lot of things that's not good for us, but some of them we've got to have. So I would ask that you would grant the permit. Thank you.
thank you.
My name is Susie Winters. I want to thank you for having this hearing. I represent myself as a citizen of the county, and I'm also involved with the citizens group called High Country Watch. People who came together to object to the pollution of the air in our backyard, in our neighborhood, near our schools, near the parkway. It's a closed system. It has to go somewhere. And my fear is that it will just be held suspended where we live. My husband and I live on a small organic farm, and the name of our farm is called Fog Likely Farm. And we've lived there for 37 years. And the reason we named it Fog Likely Farm is 3 miles on either side of us. We're right in the middle of a 3-mile fog belt, and we're about a mile from the proposed asphalt plant. So that's where the DOT put up their fog likely signs. And yes, every area has fog, but our area has dense fog that stays for lengthy periods of time. It can be foggy at our house, and I can go a half a mile or a mile down the road and the sun is shining. So I would just urge you to make a longer study of this particular climate, more than a year, and based on that, look at this unique microclimate, the fog, the inversions, the proximity to 2 elementary schools, the parkway and the scenic byway, and hold off on issuing this permit. It could possibly be that there will be an appeal, which would mean that this HILU permit would be appealed. So I thank you for your help in answering our questions when we contacted you for this hearing, and I just ask you for a longer study. I can't add anything to the wonderful comments that have been made by so many people tonight.
My name is Kip Turner, and I'm with Maymead Incorporated. I'm a North Carolina licensed civil engineer, and I work and live locally here, and I'm currently a project engineer with Maymead. I spent 10 years with the North Carolina Department of Transportation as an engineer, and I've spent the last 9 years as an engineer in the private sector in the highway construction industry. Quickly, I just wanted to mention a few highlights or quick facts related to our industry in North Carolina. North Carolina has the second largest state-maintained highway system in the country, and that's second only to Texas. And the NCDOT maintains just under 80,000 miles of road in the state. Throughout the state, and this comes off of Division of Air Quality's website, there's 150 asphalt plants in the state that's scattered over the 100 counties in our state. And our industry, of course, is vital to the economy of the state, and we provide an essential service to the motoring public and the citizens of North Carolina. Maymead owns and operates 9 plants in western North Carolina and employs well over 100 employees in our region. Of course, as a local engineer, I receive many questions related to road work and highway work from friends and family and just whoever you run into in the grocery store. But related to the safety of asphalt plants, maybe one of the best answers to that question is actually found on the Division of Air Quality's website under their frequently asked questions section. And I would just like to read that. It says, is it safe to live near an asphalt plant? And the response from the Division of Air Quality says, North Carolina's air quality regulations are designed to protect public health. In addition, North Carolina has one of the more stringent state programs for regulating emissions of air toxics. The North Carolina Environmental Management Commission adopted the state's air toxic rules in 1990, based on the recommendations of a panel of scientists and health experts who spent more than 5 years developing a list of air pollutants most likely to pose health risk. The air toxic rules set limits for 105 pollutants that are known to pose either short or long-term hazards for people who breathe them. Under these rules, facilities are not allowed to emit pollutants that exceed any of the air toxic limits at or beyond their property lines. Thus, citizens living near plants that meet the air toxic rules should not be exposed to unhealthy levels of air pollution. And I would just like to add, Maymead follows these regulations now in all 9 of our existing plants, and committed to do the same when the DAQ plant is open. And just in closing, I would like to say we do appreciate the regulations on the part of the Division of Air Quality that protects our employees and our families and our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Patrice Hopkins and then Lou Zeller.
Good evening. My name is Lou Zeller. I'm Executive Director of the Blue Ridge Environmental Defense League. I've worked with Blue Ridge for the last 30 years and have studied and commented on many asphalt plant permits, including the one which was denied at Roby Green Road back in 1997. The draft permit, this one, results of our analysis indicate that the Division of Air Quality permit would not meet state standards for toxic air pollution and would present an excessive risk to public health for at least a 6-mile radius around the proposed asphalt plant site. The estimation of air pollution that used by the DAQ uses air screen and EPA default settings. However, the assumptions which precede running any model can alter the outcome, and that is where DAQ has erred. According to DAQ, and this is from the air permit review, the plant is sized to produce 325 tons an hour of asphalt. Total annual arsenic and benzene were based on 300,000 tons of asphalt production per year, The modeled hourly arsenic and benzene emission rates were then obtained by dividing the total annual emissions by 8,760 hours per year. For asphalt plants, USC create AP42 emission rates and determine the output based on pounds of pollution per ton of asphalt produced. North Carolina's acceptable ambient limits, state law for carcinogenic compounds such as arsenic and benzene, are based on annual exposures. The draft permit limits asphalt production to a maximum of 300,000 tons and hourly of 325. Under these conditions, the plant operates a maximum capacity, would operate for only 923 hours per year before reaching its maximum, not 8,760 hours per year, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Of course, running at a lower hourly production rate would allow a greater number of operating hours, but in order to operate for 8,760 hours, the hourly production rate could be no more than 34 tons to stay within the annual limit. That is the scenario posited by DAQ. It is wholly unrealistic when one considers that asphalt production is seasonal in nature and rarely operating at all during the winter. The assumptions also excuse the impacts. The annualization of the pollution to 8760 reduces the concentrations for toxic air pollutions, arsenic and benzene, approximately tenfold. In other words, the exposure of residents in the community neighboring the asphalt plant would be 10 times greater on an hourly basis. Calculating ambient levels for 923 hours greatly increases the exposure level. The higher level is what we used in our analysis. And our calculations indicate that the draft permit would not meet state standards for toxic air pollution under 15A NCAC 2D 1104. The results of our investigation indicates benzene levels in excess of the acceptable limits as far as 10,000 meters from the plant site. That would be 6 miles. These are my written comments, and they go into some more detail about some of the other conditions that have been mentioned here tonight, including fugitive emissions and the fog. Thank you.
Thank you. Wes Weaver, and then